Happy Human Rights Day. It's Penuel the Black Pen. I'm not going to do today's video justice, and I apologize. But I realize if I don't make this video now, by the time I make more videos, it's going to be stale. So I'm going to finish off. I made a live video yesterday giving my views and thoughts around Gayton McKenzie's speech at the Biznews conference in Hermanus. And today I'm going to be briefly going over my thoughts on Rob Hersov's speech at the same Biznews conference. I highlighted it yesterday, and I want to highlight again that I want to thank Rob Hersov for allowing me and paying for my tickets to attend last year's Biznews conference hosted by Alec Hogg and the rest of the team. I met a lot of amazing people. It's something of an experience, and I welcome every South African to attend future Biznews conferences if they can. I spoke about Gayton, how I'm so fond of him, and I spoke about how I don't think I'll be voting for the Patriotic Alliance come the local elections, either in 2026 or 2027. And in that video, I spoke about why. To finish off my notes, Gayton McKenzie speaks about the power of Jacob Zuma, saying, white people short circuit when people try to tell them that Jacob Zuma is the most influential and most popular man and politician in South Africa. They don't get it. And I want to highlight this because this is important. Helen Zille, I actually got a chance to watch her speech yesterday. I hadn't watched it when I'd made the video. Later on in the day, I watched it. I thought it was an amazing speech. I was pleasantly surprised that she's not a huge fan of Trump. I was actually quite intrigued that she speak about Trump potentially being a danger and wanting to create these global superpowers. Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, Xi Jinping, and how they might want to bully and dominate the rest of the world. And the world actually needs to be very, very careful around how those moves are. She spoke about Europe. She spoke about countries like Canada and the like, that she seems to be more in favor of, and that speak to a type of democracy that she believes in, a type of democracy that the Democratic Alliance believes in. What was interesting when Alec Hogg and one of the guests asked, one of the audience members asked, what will happen if it's proven that the ANC is actually working with Iran? Iran apparently is going to be building nuclear weapons, and America said that Iran is a problem. Will the DA leave the GNU? And Helen Zille couldn't give a straight answer. She said, we'll double cross, as a joke, that bridge when we get to it. Very dangerous, because it almost means the DA would still work with the ANC, even if they find out that the ANC is working with certain nations that are not friendly to America and not friendly to some of the Western allies that the DA likes. Jacob Zuma, incredibly powerful. Gayton McKenzie speaks about this guy was in jail, and right after, 4 months later, builds a political party that becomes the third biggest political party in South Africa. 14%, almost 15% of the votes at the national elections last year. Jacob Zuma's a freak. He is one of the greatest political masterminds we've had in this country. He's a passionate South African, is a passionate African, is a passionate black man, he's a passionate Zulu man. Now, Biznews. The echo chamber of Biznews is scary. And as long as the people that attend there only invite the DA and some of the DA light type of parties, they will not get it. You need to understand, even at last year's national elections, as much as they had, I think, 16 million voters, the African National Congress, the ANC, the Economic Freedom Fighters, the EFF, Umkhonto weSizwe, the MK, this is Julius Malema, Jacob Zuma, Cyril Ramaphosa. Those parties combined are about 65, let's just round it off to 70% of the voters in this country. If you're going to be hosting a conference that represents the other 25 to 30%, you're obviously not going to understand what the majority of South Africans want and need and are looking for. And it's quite sad for me because listening to Helen Zille, I heard her speaking about, again, the Doomsday Coalition. And I heard, sadly, Gayton McKenzie speaking about if people don't support the GNU, they will be supporting Armageddon. So he's echoing the words of the DA and the Moonshot Pact in, if not us, and the ANC then partners with the EFF and the MK, that's Doomsday, that's Armageddon. Such, Swar Khafar type of speak. That means, arguably, Gayton himself, Helen Zille, do not believe in a democracy. Because if 65% to 70% of people are saying, we believe in the ANC, the EFF, and the MK, That's what the majority want. But if you're going to conveniently take an ANC, which is more leaning towards a DA with Cyril Ramaphosa, and then you pair them with an IFP, with the PA, with the PAC, with the Freedom Front Plus, of which when you combine these votes, they're just over 50, but the bulk of them, or maybe 60%, the bulk of them are actually just ANC. That means you don't believe in democracy. That means Helen, Zille, and Gayton McKenzie don't believe in the will of the people. It's one of the fights that Jacob Zuma and the MK have made, that if a big chunk of people, 14, close to 15%, are saying we're going with Zuma, and then the other 40% are saying we're going with Ramaphosa, 40 plus 15 is 55% of the votes. You add the EFF, which is another 10%, that's 65% of the population want these guys. Then you want to take minority guys, a DA, PA, IFP, Freedom Front Plus, PAC, maybe Good Party, etc., which make up, if you take the ANC out, which make up maybe 30% of the votes or whatever. That is not the majority of the people. That means you don't believe in democracy. And you guys need to be honest about it. So yes, white people in the echo chamber of Biznews and the rest will never understand the black majority because they're not willing to listen to the majority of the people. And when I made my angry video last week, this is what I was trying to say, that many white people don't want to listen. You think they're listening. You think they're listening, but they're not. Could be a bunch of the people at the Biznews conference. It could be AfriForum, could be Solidarity. It could be DA voters. It could be Freedom Front voters. It could be white people on social media. They are not listening. The majority of South Africans, the majority of black people do not agree with what you guys are saying. And the big problem that white people have, because they have the wealth, because they have the land, because they are a big chunk of taxpayers, they refuse to engage these black people. They refuse to listen to them. What do you want? We want jobs. Don't you want free things? The reality is they don't. They don't want free things. But the same white people who are the captains of industry, who own the economy or a chunk of the economy, or a big chunk of taxpayers, don't want to have an engagement with Penuel the Black Pen, Zimasa Vabaza, Sizwe Mpofu Walsh, Mighty Jamie, and say, what do black people want and how can we help them? So that we're not in an echo chamber of just listening to Rob Hersov and Helen Zille and other people making a lot of noise and applauding, and then not understanding why are people voting for Zuma? What the hell, are you guys stupid? How would you know if you're stupid if you're not willing to listen to us? If you're not willing to engage us? How are you going to know if we're stupid if you're not going to be coming to the townships and the villages to come and engage us? You don't want to speak to us, Mos, and you say we're just stupid. But the people that we vote for, that are imbeciles, that are corrupt, that are greedy, your Jacob Zumas, your whatever, they come to us. There was a person that wrote in the comments of my video yesterday, it was a black person, they said they support DA policies, but they said where they are based, the DA hasn't come to campaign. Konto Wesizwe has come to campaign, the EFF has come to campaign, the ANC has come to campaign. As long as the DA, arguably parties like Action SA, Build One South Africa, Rise Mzansi, the Patriotic Alliance, and others, as long as they're not going to put money behind sending white people, black people, coloreds, Indians to the townships, the biggest townships in the country, Soweto, Alexandra, Mlazi, Kwamashu, Kukuletu, Khayelitsha, Ntantsane, Ebayi, Zwide, New Brighton, and those places, as long as you're not sending Tembisa, as long as you're not sending people there to go to the churches, to go to the community halls and speak to the people, and then you magically expect those people to come vote for you, you're actually being disrespectful. You're being disrespectful. You're not listening to the people. You're not engaging the people. You're not even telling them what you're about. One of the cool things Helen Zille spoke about was, she said she doesn't like mainstream media. This would be something that Rob herself would speak about again, which I think is disingenuous, but I've come to realize people like Rob, maybe the DA, when the media is not against them, they think mainstream media is rubbish. News 24, Daily Maverick, and the like. This was the same thing that Jacob Zuma and the ANC would say, that the mainstream media is not to be trusted because it didn't favor them. Now, when mainstream media doesn't favor you, all of a sudden this mainstream media is rubbish. The mainstream media was great. It was perfect when it was going against Jacob Zuma. All of a sudden, it's a problem when it's not supporting your agendas. But what was cool about Helen Zille was her saying TikTok has become very influential. Podcasts have become influential. Rob Hersov would speak about 30 podcasters. I think he's very misguided, but obviously this is part of the propaganda angle. A lot of podcasters, he says, there's 30 podcasters, the Truth Report is going to be revealing that are leaning towards whatever he stands for, which I really disagree. He references MacG. MacG and Sol Penduga and Podcast and Chill are not favoring the government of national unity. They speak about it. They've analyzed it in some way. They're not political analysts. They don't claim to be. But to reference MacG as if he's a supporter of Rob Hersov or AfriForum or Solidarity or the DA is false. That was opportunistic. He references Ronaldo Gous. Ronaldo, who was handpicked by the DA to become a member of parliament, was then kicked out by the same DA because of an old video about him using the K word, kafir. And he got bashed and trashed on social media. Got out. Today, Ronaldo Gous is one of the people on Twitter who speaks out against the DA, saying the DA are hypocrites. The DA are sellouts. The DA are not doing what DA voters stand for. That's Ronaldo Gous. He references Roman Kabanak. Roman Kabanak, the same guy who was working under John Steenhuisen, they tried to get rid of him, again, because of certain things that he'd said on social media and on his podcast, The Morning Shot. And Roman has fought to stay there, but he's not welcome. The same Roman Kabanak. Then, as per usual, Rob Hersov always butchers this Uncle Tom, Phumlani Majozi. Always butchers his name when he speaks there at the Biznews conference as a sympathizer to the privileged white angle. Phumlani Majozi, as many people on Twitter call him, is an ass licker of white privilege. He defends white privilege. He thinks it's the reimagining of Thomas Sowell, but he's not. He's far from it. I don't think he's an economist. I don't think he just copies a lot of the things that he thinks rich white people and the West like. I'm not a fan of Phumlani Majozi. I appreciate that he has a voice. I appreciate there are many people that support him and believe in him, but I think he's incredibly detached from the realities of the majority of South Africans, black people. I don't even think he understands white people in this country and the issues that they have. He just likes that he can meet with the AfriForums and sadly many people had thought that I was something like a Phumlani Majozi. But again, it's because black people, white people that don't like me are not listening. They're not listening. They see you sitting with Rob Hersov. They see you with someone. They don't listen to what you have to say. And all of a sudden you get bunched with other people as well. Butchered Phumlani Majozi's name. I know Phumlani Majozi is probably more leaning towards them. And then he mentioned there are many others. He may be right about Citizen Concerned. I think the lady's name might be Katleho, I'm not sure. But she's very leaning towards the DA. She seems to bash black people and black leadership on a regular on her platform, Citizen Concerned. And again with Echo Chamber. The number of white people that are on Citizen Concerned applauding her every single day. Oh my gosh, she's so smart. It's because you guys are living in this minority world that is detached from the reality. Detached. So when you hear Penuel the Black Pen saying things you like, when you hear Dr. Sizwe Mpofu saying things you like, when you hear the lady from Citizen Concern saying things you like, all of a sudden they're smart. All of a sudden they understand what's going on and you applaud us. But anytime we understand what Julius Malema is saying, what the EFF is saying, anytime we support what Andile Mngxitama is saying, anytime we were sympathetic to Vuyo Zumula, to Jacob Zuma, to Paul Mashatile, we've lost it. I thought this panel guy was so smart. I don't know what rubbish he's saying now. It's because it's not aligned to what you believe in, because you're detached from reality, and you're part of this minority 25 to 30% that is living a privileged life and that doesn't understand the realities on the ground, and we kind of lose it. Gayton McKenzie and Helen Zille would speak about the government of national unity and the sacrifices that need to be made, which become very sad because the same Helen Zille, the same John Steenhuisen, and the same DA, maybe even a Gayton McKenzie, they swore they would cut allegiances and alliances with the ANC when it comes to the Bella Act, when it comes to the NHI Act, when it comes to expropriation without compensation. They're the same people working with the ANC today. And Helen Zille will say, well, you win some, you lose some. That's triggering. That's gaslighting. If you are going to say we lose some Bella Act, we lose some NHI, we lose some expropriation without compensation, what are you guys winning? Because the things that you had scared people with, Doomsday Coalition, Armageddon, the EFF and NK, that's what they were standing for. Expropriation without compensation, the Bella Act, the NHI Act, those supposed socialist policies. Those were the same things you were scaring people with. If you vote with the ANC and the MK and the EFF, it will be the Doomsday Coalition. You will get the NHI Act. You will get the Bella Act. You will get expropriation without. You've got it now. You've got an increase in VAT now. With the same DA, PA, IFP, Freedom Front Plus, PAC, Good, and others. So what was the point? What was the point of this so-called GNU? Which means the DA, like classical politicians, are lying to their voters. They're lying to their supporters. The things that they claim are scary are being implemented under their watch. You win some, you lose some. It's like, okay, politicians doing what politicians do. Rob Hersov's speech. One of the first things I want to say is Rob Hersov's speech was much sober than in the past. There was less theatrics, which may be pretty cool for some people. Rob had said last year that he's quitting politics. Surprise, surprise. He's not quitting politics. He praises BEE. In particular, he praises employment equity. And Alec Hogg was very right to question him in the Q&A that it sounds like you're praising BEE. And Rob was sort of, he was, no, not really. I'm just saying, nah. Someone had whispered in Rob's ear, and some people asked me in DMs, was it Gayton McKenzie, was it you, was it someone else? How does Rob praise BEE under Mandela Numbegi, saying, many black children today have jobs that they wouldn't have gotten before. Many black businesses would get funding that they wouldn't get before. There's a lot of black people that have had opportunities because of black economic empowerment. The same black economic empowerment he says should be slashed. By the way, later on they'd speak about BEE. And some of the things people don't understand, BEE's got a couple of pillars. And I want to give a shout out to one of my mentors, Vuyo Jack, who was responsible for the crafting of the BEE codes before Cyril Ramaphosa ran the commission and was seen as the father of BEE and one of the big beneficiaries. BEE is a couple of pillars, one of them being employment equity. That's to ensure that in companies, you have the type of workers that have the demographics so that we can share the wealth of this country. It's what Gayton McKenzie was slashed for recently, saying that under Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, they need more white, colors, and Indians. And black people got angry. And he laughed, and he was right to laugh. Or it's fine when we ask for black people. It's an issue when we need more colored employees. It's an issue when we need more Indian employees. You're saying black people, the same black people are like, but we need the demographics. Yes, but we have too many black people here. So now when it's on your side, now you're complaining. Now it's an issue. Hypocrites, of course. Employment equity was meant for that, especially listed companies, which have to meet regulations, and especially companies that become suppliers to government. You have to meet the BEE regulations and make sure you're representative of the demographics. That means you mustn't have too many black employees. If you've got more than 80% black employees, you're supplying government, you're supplying departments, you're a listed entity, you need more white employees. You need more Indian and colored employees. You are not representative of the demographics. You're oversubscribed with too many black people. That's employment equity. You've got preferential procurement, what we'd call tenders, I guess, to make sure that, again, government, JSE-listed companies, that they are ensuring that they are getting black-owned businesses supplying, black-owned businesses that were kept out by apartheid, by colonialism. Because they don't have the advantage of, well, my grandfather built a business. My grandfather couldn't because he wasn't allowed to play in the mainstream economy, sadly. Today we speak about merit, but it's merit that was regulated advantage. That's why your family has got cranes. That's why your family has got money sitting. That's why your family has property. My family doesn't because they didn't have those advantages that were regulated. So now we're regulating to ensure that the kids that were kept out can kind of play and try and get to a point of merit. The skills development under BEE. Companies must make sure that they are investing money. Of course, this money gets looted, sadly, but they're meant to be investing money in skills development to make sure that young kids, black, white, colored, Indian, are getting the skills needed to contribute to the economy. That's under BEE. This includes women. This includes disabled people. It's not just about black people, guys. But you guys missed it, and all you focus on is equity, which is one pillar of BEE. And that's where the bulk of the money was looted. Cyril Ramaphosa, I mention these names all the time. Cyril Ramaphosa, Phuthuma Nhleko, Saki Macozoma, Lazarism, Dr. Anna Machokong, Daphne Nkosi, Patrice Motsepe, Bridget Khadebe Motsepe, Gloria Serube, and many others. Tokyo Sehwale, Ndaba Pamodzi. I forget Kamalababa. That's equity. Equity that was gifted to politicians and the politically connected so that big white businesses could tick a box. And then certain black people got wealthy overnight. Mzi Khumalo and the likes. Ndabantsele, sorry, under Pamodzi. That's equity. It is only but one pillar of BEE. That is the pillar that you guys probably have an issue with. And then another one that's worth consideration is preferential procurement. Why is it that these tenders, and not only in government, but also in corporate, are only going to the same guys? Your Shanduka, your Mvela Panda, your Pembani, your Pamodzi, your Whiphold, and the likes. It's the same politicians and politically connected. That's where the issues are. Not employment equity, not skills development, not socioeconomic development. Those are other things that have made an impact in society. So we need to make sure that we're having the right type of conversation around what BEE is. And what I want to highlight as well is Joshua Maponga sits with me and DJ Sbo on the Hustlers Corner, and he speaks about the corruptee and the corruptor. The black politicians, the black politically connected that got equity, didn't get it by themselves. They were given equity by certain white business owners who very conveniently handpicked certain politicians to their own ends. When we speak about the corruption and the looting that's happened since 1994, we cannot but mention Brian Joffe at Bidvest, who went to get your Cyril Ramaphosa to sit on his boards. We can't help but speak about Jaco Marie and the guys at Standard Bank, who went to get Saki Macozoma and Cyril Ramaphosa. Standard Bank, Liberty, Stanlib. Liberty would be Sir, he's a kid's old boy, Sir Donald Gordon, if I'm not mistaken. He was knighted in England because he's contributed a lot to the arts, that side. Billionaire in South Africa of insurance. We can't help but mention the Oppenheimer family. We can't help but mention the Menel family. I thought the Hersovs were involved, but Rob Hersov, when we last sat down, spoke about how when they split Anglo-Fal mining, they had AVI, Anglo-Fal Industries, which went to the Hersovs, and then they had Anglo-Fal Mining, they had Avenge, Anglo-Fal Engineering. But the mining aspect was the Menels, and the Menels would handpick the Motsepe family to say, we will give you equity here. And then there would be many other white-owned businesses. You can add Glencore today. White-owned business people who would handpick politicians to give them equity for nothing, to sit on their boards and to just eat money without building anything. So as much as we mention all these fat cat BEE beneficiaries, we have to also mention the white people that gave them stakes in their businesses. Your Stephen Sards at Aspen. There are many others if we actually go through a list. You go through a list of all these businesses, you look at all the politicians involved and all the politically connected, you get all the names of these black people. Then you have to ask, who are the white people? The white Afrikaner business people, the white Jewish business people, the white English business people, the white foreign-owned business people that would give these stakes to these politicians. Why did they do that? Because they wanted access to government money, because they wanted access to BEE funding, because they were fine to work with these guys and loot together and make a lot more money after. And this money didn't go to the people as it was meant to be, because the black politicians and politically connected and these white business people colluded together to make money together so that it looks like. And when the same rich white business people complain about BEE's failures, they don't speak about the white people who got fronts so that they could make more money with their politician friends. And that's part of the conversation we need to have. Rob Hersov would speak about the misinformation. I would give misinformation about electricity. It is not true that in 1994 there was 0% access to electricity in the black community. This is part of where I guess he's misinformed, as with many other parts of the greater black community in South Africa. The apartheid government actually ensured that there was a lot of electricity in this country. Was it anywhere close to what's needed? Definitely not. And I'm glad that Alec Hogg corrected him as well in the Q&A. In places like Soweto, there was electricity. Chafpozi, one of my favorite tourist places to visit. Those were power plants, by the way. It was nowhere near adequate, and the government could do a lot of good work to ensure access to electricity. But there was electricity. It wasn't that all black places were just in the dark. So that was very wrong. What has become very sad since the ANC has given access to electricity is that a lot of black households do not pay for electricity. If you read a lot of articles online, you'll find that certain townships, up to 60% of the township is illegally connected. I'm one of those people that believe that electricity is not a human right. And I believe that people that are not paying for electricity should be switched off. If the government wants to pay for electricity, free electricity, by the way, government does have for indigent families, you can apply. Eskom does have some type of allocation for free electricity. But if you're not going to pay for electricity, you must be cut off. The amount of electricity that is illegally connected in the townships is scary. But what became scarier was then realizing how many houses in suburbia are not paying for electricity and are illegally connected. In some of the top suburbs in South Africa, some of your government departments are not paying for electricity. Some of your big businesses are not paying for electricity. It's just us, the idiots. The same fucking idiot taxpayers who are paying for electricity. Switch those people off. Electricity is not a human right. It should not be a human right. People can survive without electricity. The same people that are illegally connected are the same people that have access to data and TikTok and Nice Times and DSTV and watching all types of rubbish on Watch I Love. Okay, I went through some of these notes that I put here. Rob Hersov is not aware of how dangerous his tongue is. Gayton McKenzie alluded to it. He said whenever the DA bashes the PA, that's how we know we're going to win those bylaws. Because whatever the DA says, the coloreds and the blacks are like, okay, let's go there. When AfriForum and Solidarity, when Rob Hersov are like, oh, you know, Penuel the Black Pen has kind of lost it. That's when black people are like, brother, hey, welcome back. Hey, we thought we'd lost you there, Kada. They don't realize the danger of their tongues. When Rob Hersov bashes Action SA and Herman Mashaba, Michael Beaumont, he does not realize there are many black people listening. And they're like, oh, Rob Hersov doesn't like Action SA. I'm now going to vote for Action SA. Helen Zille is bashing Umkhonto Wesizwe. Oh, Kwaza Mkhonto, Kwaza. That's where I'm voting. John Steenhuisen is bashing Julius Malema and the EFF. That's where we're going, Baba. We're going there when you guys get angry. That's where we're going. So people need to be very, very careful. Unless it's a strategy to get blacks and coloreds to vote for Action SA, as long as you're bashing those people, blacks and coloreds, Indians, will vote for them very dangerously. But maybe they're trying to get white people to not vote for Action SA. We'll see. It was sad to also listen to Rob Hersov bashing people who donate to charity, cancer, and community involvement, and saying they should rather donate to political parties. Many of us don't believe in political parties. If you look at the money that was raised by Rise Mzansi, by Build One South Africa, that money could have made a dent in setting up funds for businesses in this country. Musi Maimane, Songezo Zibi could have said, this money we've gotten from the Oppenheimers and other people, millions, tens of millions of rands, we have decided that we're going to set up small business funds and we're going to be funding businesses. If not that, we're going to take this money. Anyone who has a community or a church who needs banners, who needs pamphlets, who needs t-shirts, we will supply those things so that you can educate your community. But we're not seeing that. All we see is 1 seat in parliament, 2 seats in parliament. They could have literally gone to those voters and given them like 100 rand or 1,000 rand each from the money that they got, and they still would have had change left over. It is one thing to ask people, please contribute to political parties. Please contribute to podcasters. Shout out to Rob Hersov for asking people to contribute to podcasts. And thank you to many of you guys that contribute to channels like myself, that break down politics, that break down some of these speeches, that engage you guys on some of the things going on out there and listen. The important thing is for some of us to actually listen and read the comments and engage. Ask people to contribute to political parties. 10 rand, 50 rand, 100 rand, it goes a long way. The ANC struggles to raise, I think their membership fee per annum is like 10 rand, if not 100 rand. Their own politicians, the tenderpreneurs, the MPs, the cadre deploy, they don't contribute and they don't have money. Their own people don't contribute to the cause. Please donate to a political party of your choice, 100 Rand, 1,000 Rand. But don't tell people to stop contributing to the SPCA, to Action Society, to Gift of the Givers, even if you support AfriForum. Don't tell people that they're stupid for contributing there just because they don't contribute to political parties. They can see the real work being done out there by these people. So I think Rob should have said, please continue contributing. And where you have a little bit of extra money, sacrifice a 6-pack of booze, sacrifice some hot wings, sacrifice maybe a breakfast out, and contribute to politicians that are doing work in your community. To say, I'm contributing not so you can have a nice car, I'm contributing so that you can take this money while you are campaigning, take some of the budget and copy what Gift of the Givers, AfriForum, Action Society is doing. Say that because of your contribution, we have now got people doing neighborhood watch. Because of your contribution, we've closed some potholes. Because of your contributions, we've capacitated certain schools in your community. Very, very important. Misinformation around land. Rob Hersov would make a video on his YouTube channel spreading misinformation about land. I made a video on the Convo show, very long video around land. Very briefly, the land audit of 2017 breaks down who they believe owns land in this country. That's okay. The one thing that black politicians normally highlight, which is false, fake propaganda and misinformation, is that 70% of the land is owned by white people. They don't have proof of that. The proof we have under the land audit is that 72% of farmland, which is a huge chunk of the land in this country, I think it's a third of the land, 72% of farmland is owned by white people in their private capacity. I think 3% is under black ownership. That's only farmland per the land audit. There's a chunk of the land, I think a third, that's under companies, under trusts, under non-profit organizations. The land audit didn't go to the extent of breaking down what is the racial demographic of the company ownership, of the trust ownership, of the NGO ownership, so that we can then actually have a more accurate breakdown. You may find that 70% of the land is owned by white people in terms of private ownership, in terms of company ownership, in terms of trust ownership. I believe the Oppenheimer family, their trust, the family trust, is the biggest private owner of land in this country. I can imagine the ZZ2 family, the Van Sales, in Limpopo, probably own a big chunk of land under their company as well. We don't have that ownership written there. There's a chunk of land under tribal ownership, 2.8 million hectares within Ngonyama Trust. But it's misleading to say that land is owned by the king. He is the custodian, but there's a permission to occupy where the land is owned by many black families there. They may not own a title deed, but they have land, they've built homes, they've built businesses. Sadly, some of that land, there are white businesses, Indian businesses on that land. So that's misleading. The land audit needs to go deeper in the work that's being done. So the land misinformation must be stopped. We can speak about the farmland misinformation, but then we don't know about the other parts of land. And the state-owned land, very importantly, guys, we could say government owns 14% of the land per the land audit. But some of the land is parks. Some of that land is schools. Some of that land is hospitals. Some of that land may be under state-owned enterprises. It's not just farmland, which government is hogging, and it's correct. Wandile Sihlobo, Johan Kirsten have spoken about how government needs to release this land. And not only must they lease it to make money, they must, if that land was for the people, give it to the rightful owners. Let them have title deeds. They can decide if they want to lease it. There is land owned by the government, but not all of this 14% is land that's just chilling. It's land that is actually being put to use when you're walking in a park, when you're on a school premises, when you're at a hospital, a clinic, when you're at any other government department. That is part of the land that they own. Again, we must have more robust conversations around these things. Rob Hersov and his subtle jabs to the Muslim community, which I'm aware of, that he's got issues with the Muslim community. He supports Christians, he supports Jews, is part of this terrorists that the Americans and all of them, the propaganda that they push with ISIS and Hamas and Al-Qaeda and the likes. He mentioned a few times in his speech the values of the Judeo-Christian, our Judeo-Christian values. That's a jab at the Muslims. We live very comfortably with Muslim people in South Africa. They add a lot of value. They pay taxes. They build businesses. They create jobs. They're involved in the building of this country. So when we're celebrating Jewish business people and entrepreneurs and taxpayers and job creators in this country, when we're celebrating Christian black, white, colored, Indian, Christians in this country who create jobs, who build businesses, who pay taxes, who work hard. We must also celebrate our Muslims. We have to. We must celebrate our Hindus as well. If there are any Buddhists, we must celebrate them. If there are any atheists that are creating jobs, building businesses, let's celebrate them. We can't only single out the Jews and the Christians because it suits certain agendas and it's a jab at the Muslims. That's very wrong, and we must be very, very careful of that type of messaging. Okay, I spoke about some of these other things. Biznews must invite the other 70%. They must invite the ANC. They must invite the EFF. They must invite Umkhonto weSizwe, even if they don't like them. And they must say at the Biznews conference, we did invite Jacob Zuma here. He refused. We did invite Ududu Zuma here. She refused. We did invite Floyd Shibambu. We did invite Julius Malema. We did invite Snawo Tambo, Sihle Lons. We did invite Andile Mngxitama. We did invite Vuyo Zongula. We did invite like, because we said, guys, we don't like you, but we like you here, so that we can debate and argue and ask what people out there want. We don't like socialism. We like capitalism. We like free market capitalism. Please tell us why you guys think this is best, and let's have a debate and an argument. And when you leave here, you can leave angry. We can leave angry, but at least we've listened to each other. But if it's just an echo chamber of 25% to 30% of the privileged, black, white, colored Indian, mostly white, you're never going to understand what's going on in this country. And it fundamentally means you don't believe in democracy. I don't believe in democracy, by the way, but for my own reasons. I wanted to touch on the failures of black people themselves. Let's see here. Some of my notes, I'm not going to get to this. I can make this in a separate video. I just wanted to touch on some of the points that Rob Hersov left. The failures of black people themselves is one of the things I want to speak about. I'll speak about it in another video. And why when white people complain and bash, some of their complaints and their bashing is very valid. Very, very valid. And black people need to introspect and see that some of the things that white people are saying, you can get as angry as you want, but you need to take some accountability. Why I personally don't support the ANC, the EFF, and the MK, I'm going to make a separate video to explain that. I have explained it in the past, but I'll explain it again, so that we can engage, black, white, colored, Indian, engage on some of my thoughts, whether you agree or disagree with them. My thoughts on why I think provincial structures should be collapsed. I think provincial structures are a waste of time and a waste of money in this country. I think they become an unnecessary bottleneck into getting communities to work. I do believe in empowering municipalities and communities. Oranje has spoken about this. AfriForum has spoken about this. Rob Hersov has spoken about this. OHM has spoken about this. Decentralization of sorts. Not with the idea of collapsing government and capitalism, no. Just with the idea of capacitating communities to do more for themselves and not be hamstrung by provinces and national government. Some of my other notes, we need to study ShopRite and Pepco as a country, Christo Visa. We need to study Curo and Stadio. That's Dr. Chris van der Merwe with the assistance of Yanni Mouton. This is if we're serious about building this country and the economy. We need to figure out what Theo Baloy at Batu is doing right and teach other black businesses to move in the same fashion. We need to figure out what Ula Duma is doing right with Amakosa. We need to study Tsepo Jeans. We need to study DJ Sbu and the team at More Fire and what they've gotten right. In South Africa, we may not have Republican and Democrat, but we do have the different shades of the ANC and the different shades of the DA, essentially, which then almost become Democrat versus Republican. The different shades of the ANC include the IFP, even though they're more DA leaning today. They include the UDM, they include the EFF, they include Umkhonto weSizwe, they include the ATM, and maybe the PAC as well. The different shades of the DA include Action SA, they include the Freedom Front Plus, they include BOSA, they include Rise Mzansi. We need to have an academic exercise of saying DA, ANC, and then we need to look at the different shades. The EFF is the ANC, but how are they different? MK is the ANC, but how are they different? IFP is the ANC, but how are they different? PAC, same. The DA, Action SA is the DA, but how are they different? BOSA is the DA, but how are they different? Rise Mzansi is the DA, but how are they different? The Freedom Front is the DA, but how are they different? So that even when we have conversations with potential voters and the people out there, they understand in simple talk what we're dealing with. The EFF is the ANC, but they're different like this. The Freedom Front Plus is the DA, but they're different like this. And then we can start having more intelligent conversations with a clearer picture, because many people don't really understand what these parties mean and what they stand for. Okay, I think I'll stop there. My last point is going to be this to Rob Hersov. Rob Hersov and many people like him and many people that support him speak about we need to stop lamenting the past and worrying about the past, and we need to move forward into the future. They reference apartheid. For how long will you blame apartheid? Get over it. Let's move. Let's focus on merit. Let's build. That's cute. And it's convenient that they want to say that. And I understand that we have to blame the ANC and many others, including the offshoots, your EFF, your MK. A lot of those guys were part of the ANC at some point, your Copes and the like. They failed us in many ways to ring fence apartheid taken land, ring fence it, put it under state ownership. And then over these 30 years, the argument could be that the state hasn't released that land, or the leases haven't been solidified with the white farmers or the white people that are on that land, whatever the case may be. But it was ring fenced. All of this land, we've got it now. The apartheid government shut black people off. And it's not all the land, by the way. There was land that was bought by white people. We leave that alone. There was land that black people and coloreds and Indians occupied. You leave that alone. Just the land that the apartheid government shafted people off, we fenced that overnight. The ANC government says it is officially under state ownership. The people on that land, you will be paying us rent on that land. It is no longer yours. We're going to resolve it. Over time, you will either buy this land from us properly, or you will lease this land with a 90-year lease, a 50-year lease, or you will have some type of arrangement with the black families that were entitled to this land on how you guys can work together. They failed, of course. They failed with the economy. They could have ring-fenced the chunk of the economy and saying this economy now is now going to be under state ownership. It's not going to be given to hand-picked BEE beneficiaries. The state, not the ANC, not the IFP, not the UDM, not the PAC. It is going to be the state, the government, that is going to own 30%, 40% of all these JSE-listed companies, because we want to fix what went wrong in the past. And then from there, we'll take those companies, we'll ensure that the right skilled blacks and coloreds and Indians get hired into these companies, because we have a 30% stake as government. We'll ensure that these companies procure from black, colored, Indian businesses that qualify, that we've upskilled, that we are training. That's what should have been done, but they failed. So we can't get over it, because the ANC has failed us. These BEE fat cats have failed us. White business people that were very convenient and handpicked the right black people as fronts, they failed us. So we can't get over it. And it cannot be that the same beneficiaries of apartheid and colonialism are going to tell us to get over it. There are many white people today who are being overworked, who are being overtaxed, who did not benefit from apartheid directly, who did not benefit from colonialism directly, who want to work with black people, coloreds, Indians, who end up catching straight bullets because rich white people and their black friends are telling other black people to get over it. And when those black people get angry and they talk, they expect those same white people who are being overworked and overtaxed to act as a buffer and to shout at these black people to tell them to get over it. And it's wrong. It's politics, it's convenience, it's propaganda. It's actually why racial demarcations and labeling started. It was the rich white elite that realized at some point that, hey, the black and brown and yellow people are coming up. Let's try and get our white peasants and workers to tell them, you know who the problem is? It's those black people. It's those brown people. It's those yellow people. They're coming to take your jobs. Look at them. But then when you look at it really, those same rich white people have handpicked their black, brown, yellow people. They laugh together at the clubs and the pubs and the schools, while they've got ordinary white middle class white people to fight with ordinary black, brown, yellow middle class people with each other, and then to bash the poor while they live comfortable. It's wrong. The same way Rob Hersov wants black people to get over apartheid, I challenge him to tell Jewish people to get over the Holocaust. I challenge him to say it was wrong for the Jewish community to get reparations from Germany and Nazi Germany. I challenge him to say this never again line by the Jewish community is wrong. I challenge him to say that. I challenge him to tell other people that have gotten reparations, that have had some type of assistance, including the Afrikaners. I challenge him to tell the Afrikaners that they were wrong to have the National Party focus on the Afrikaner community, to build Afrikaner schools with taxpayers' money, black taxpayers, white English taxpayers, Indian taxpayers, colored taxpayers. The National Party government took all that tax and they built Afrikaans schools and they built Afrikaans universities and they subsidized Afrikaner farmers and they subsidized and they funded Afrikaner businesses. The same Rob Hersov and the people that support him must tell him that the National Party was wrong. They must tell him that Afrikaners must get over the Voortrekker movement. Afrikaners must stop celebrating Geloftesdag. Afrikaners must stop asking for what they must get over it. He came on Convo and he said he doesn't speak about race. He's lying. He does speak about race. There are many clips of him speaking about race. He'd say the same at the Biznews conference. He'd say people of all shapes and sizes. Those are undertones. That's condescending. That's patronizing. When you say all shapes and sizes, you talk about all races. Rob doesn't believe in merit. He says it, but he doesn't believe in it because again, I challenge him to all these people that have gotten their fair share, their chunk, their 40 acres and a mule, to point out and say that they were wrong. But he won't because it's convenient for him. Again, I thought the conversations I'd had with people like him, Garrett Cliff, the guys at AfriForum, I thought they were understanding. You know, the same way the Jews were done wrong, you know, the same way the Afrikaner community was done wrong and put in concentration camps, you know, the same way the slave trade was wrong, the same way Indians were imported as slaves and the Malaysians were imported as slaves. I thought we understood each other. We want to fix all of that for the future. But we can't fix it by you guys handpicking your blacks that you like, your colors that you like, your Gayton, your Herman Mashaba, your Pumlani Majoz, your Musi Maimani, your Penuel the Black Pen. And then as soon as they start saying you things you don't like, all of a sudden, this guy's lost it. He used to be so smart. He's now there with the communists and the socialists. It means you weren't listening to me. I was sympathetic and empathetic to you and your people and your struggles and how you guys built yourselves up. I was trying to get you to understand the black struggle and ask for help. Can we get you guys to show us how the Jews lifted themselves out? Can you guys show us how the Afrikaner community pulled themselves out? Can you guys help show us the good leaders amongst the black community to say, no, that's not, we made sure that as Jews, we didn't pick leaders like this. As Afrikaners, we didn't pick leaders like this. As the Indians, we didn't pick, because we realized these guys are colluding with our oppressors. So you guys shouldn't vote for these guys. They're corrupt and they're greedy and they're working with the same guys. It's Animal Farm. So you guys must make sure that you support these guys. These guys are the right black leaders who will work with us whites, white English, white Afrikaans, white Jewish, who will work with the Indians, who will work with the colors. But these guys are not listening. They were all about preserving their privileges and their wealth. And they fine with ignorant white people voting DA Freedom Front Plus and scaring them with doomsday and Armageddon and getting the white black middle class to be alienated from these people when our struggles are arguably the same. The biggest issues we have are corruption at government level by the ANC government and some of their friends, with the assistance of rich white and black today and Indian, some colored business people. They are colluding to get us to fight each other. They're getting us to hate each other on race, on religion, on gender, on community, on language. And we don't see it. And they're laughing. It's a fat laugh because they're billionaires, they're multimillionaires. Their kids go to the same schools. They have share portfolios offshore. And if ever this country collapses, all of them will leave. If you've ever watched the movie Don't Look Up, where Meryl Streep and some of these other politicians in America, they escape from Earth when the world collapses. And those of us who are fighting each other are going to be left overworked, overtaxed, fucked, because it serves their agenda. We need to wake up. We need to wake up and figure out exactly who the problems are, who our real leaders are, who are going to take this country forward into the future. Before you guys leave, I just want to take screenshots of your comments. By the way, I hope you guys will have a great Friday. I hope you'll have a great long weekend. It's Human Rights Day. A lot of our rights, unfortunately, are trampled on by the politicians and big business. So it's up to us to rise up. You know, some of the things I still respect so much about AfriForum is the focus on community. I may not agree with their politics. I may not agree with their misinformation and propaganda. But I respect this whole focus on community, the focus on volunteering, It's one of the things I'll still respect about Orania as well. Doing things for yourself, insulating yourself from the state and its tyranny. Yeah, and I'm still going to learn from a lot of the people out there, best practice. I'm still going to learn from a lot of white people, a lot of Jewish people, a lot of my Indian friends, a lot of my colored friends, because some of us are still stupid enough to believe that we can build this country together. Some of us actually want to get along. Some of us don't want to be bullied by rogue politicians and their business mates. Some of us actually want to build a country like the Springboks that can compete with the best in the world and defeat them. So yeah, I want to give a shout out, man, to some of our athletes that have been breaking records. I know I'll speak about Bayanda Walaza. He's not the only one. I want to wish a lot of our kids that are going to be playing sports this weekend the best of luck. I'm going to be in Kreersdorp today watching huge game, Hoërskool Monument versus Grey College from Bloemfontein. Grey College is arguably the best school on the African continent and arguably the best rugby school in the world. I know Paul Roos Gymnasium doesn't like hearing that. Tomorrow, I'm going to be in Houghton in Johannesburg watching King Edward School, KES, take on, it's a derby, huge derby, the biggest derby, I think, in Johannesburg, taking on JP Boys from Kensington. That's going to be a humdinger. Schoolboy rugby, man, I love it with all my being. I think the Tux Camarate, if I'm not mistaken, from the University of Pretoria, is currently touring in America. Wishing them the best of luck. A close friend and brother, Mbuso Ndlovu, is going to be hosting a choir performance, Wantando Choir Festival in Pretoria, which I'm going to be watching. I think it's going to be next month, if I'm not mistaken. I want to give a shout out, man, to everyone who donates to my channel, who contributes to the work that I do, everyone who's bought my books. I have 12 books that are for sale. I'm trying to get them into bookstores. If I can get help, I'm gonna be getting help to do that, and online. I want to thank all the people that market their businesses and their events on my social media platforms, the TikTok, the Instagram, the Twitter, the Facebook, the WhatsApp. And I want to thank everyone who is understanding of my view and my vision for the country. Yesterday, I had an amazing phone call with a brother, Utemba, you guys know as Euphonik. He was giving me a lot of advice, which I'm not going to share with you guys. But as we were talking, he had me thinking, asking myself, am I a politician? And if I am, what does that mean? Because Euphonik told me, you're either in politics or in business. You have to kind of pick a struggle. And I was like, you may be right. It's the argument between capitalism and socialism. Am I a politician? I may not be part of a political party. I may not be an independent candidate. I may not sit in parliament. I may not sit with the mayor in the municipal council. I may not sit in the provincial legislature. But is the work that I'm doing politics? Politics comes from a Greek word, if you look at the etymology, which has to do with running the affairs of a city. I don't know if it's Aristotle, one of the philosophers, that would write a book on politics, politica. The running of the affairs of your family, of your community, of your province, your town, your city, your nation is politics. So when you are working in a school, when you are controlling traffic, when you are picking up litter, when you are cutting grass, when you are closing potholes, when you are getting people to raise funds to invest in businesses, when you're ensuring that there's electricity all around, when you are fixing water issues, when you are getting a community to be functional, when you're getting people to work together, to put their shoulder to their wheel, to roll their sleeves up, to put money in, to build businesses, to support local business so that they can sponsor local schools. When you're getting the church to do charity work and you're getting people to have an ideological identity, that is politics in its truest form. Am I in politics? And if I'm in politics, how do I ensure that I get compensated? Like someone who works at municipality, like someone who works in the province, like someone who works as a member of parliament or as a minister. When it gets to a point, Dr. Sizwe Mpofu-Walsh, Mighty Jamie, Dan Corder, Zimasa Vabaza Mustafa, Citizen Concerned, the lady from Citizen Concerned, Ronaldo Gos, Roman Kabanak, the Morning Shot, and many other voices that are out there. Some of the work, maybe DJ Sbu, I can throw him in there as well. When you look at the work we're doing with YouTube, the work we're doing with TikTok, with Instagram, with Facebook, and the potential money we're making. If you're making 10,000 Rand a month, 20,000 Rand a month, 30,000 Rand a month, you're earning politician salaries. And it is then up to you to analyze politics, commentate on politics, and influence people to be educated on politics and how they can be involved actively in the politics, the running of the affairs. Once you get to a point where you're making over 50,000, 100,000 Rand a month, you're now earning a member of parliament salary. That's actually the work that you're doing. That's actually the work that you're doing. How do you ensure that with the platform that you have, number one, you could potentially be more influential politicians? It's not by accident that Tusihle Ngobese will be recruited by the DA, that Ronaldo Gos will be recruited by the DA, that Roman Kabanak would be recruited by the DA, that Darren Kamfer or Comfort would be recruited by MK. I know they've probably tried to recruit Dan Corder. I can imagine they've tried to recruit Dr. Sisempof Walsh, Mighty Jamie, Zimasa, myself. It is not by accident, because we are involved in influence, in political influence. My mother sent me a text this morning saying one of my ideas, she saw it being used. And I told her, over the years, it is been proven that some of the things that I post, some of my videos, do influence politicians in real time. I hear some of their speeches, quoting some of the things that I've said in WhatsApp groups that I'm in with them, in WhatsApp conversations I've had with them, in one-on-one physical conversations I've had with them, in podcasts that I've had with them or other people. We have given ideas to the post office and the post bank. Why does the post bank not create its own bank where all SASSA grant recipients need to have a post bank account to collect their money? That's how you build a state bank. It's not rocket science. You get all government employees, your teachers, your police officers, your traffic cops, your government department officials, and if you want to earn a salary, you will earn it through the post bank. We are creating a state-owned bank. You can then take that money and move it into ABSA, FNB, Nedbank, Standard Bank, whatever other bank that you want. But we will ensure that as a government employee, your money starts off in the state bank so that we can generate revenue and create jobs. That is not rocket science. But they don't want that. They, again, work with their rich friends who fund their political campaigns to ensure that they destroy state-owned enterprises so that Abo Pravin Gordhan, Abo Tito Mboweni, they are selling off state assets. Thabo Mbeki tried to sell Eskom. Cyril is now trying to sell Eskom. Pravin tried to sell SAA. They want to sell pieces of the SABC. They want to sell all these things. Rob Hersov, of course, believes in privatization because that's how capitalists become rich. But it's like, it doesn't have to be that. We can actually build really, really great state-owned enterprises that are run by the right people, that create the right type of jobs, that make profits, that upskill the employees. That's what the apartheid government did so well with Eskom, ISCO, Armsco, and the like. They were running really, really good state-owned enterprises that were creating jobs, upskilling white Afrikaners, and making a proper impact in the economy. But we don't have the right type of politicians now. And those of us with platforms could in some way, besides being seen as media people, we can be politicians. There are more people in this country that know me, my face, my voice, than I could bet 350 members of parliament. There's a chance that there are maybe 20, 30, 50 members of parliament that are more popular than I am, that are more known than I am, that would be listened to more than myself. I walk in malls around the country. I walk in shopping centers. I walk into communities, townships, suburbs. I'm in white areas. I'm at rugby games. I'm at football games. I'm walking in the streets. White, colored Indian people recognize me. They listen to me. And I have a responsibility to make sure that my voice makes an impact. And I call them to rise up. And I make sure that, of course, I'm getting paid like a member of parliament, maybe like a mayor. And then it is my responsibility that outside of getting paid, how do I set up a fund, whether it's a non-profit organization, like AfriForum, like Gift of the Givers. I'm like, guys, we have a fund. And we will make sure that we figure out where this money comes from. And we'll come, like AfriForum, like Gift of the Givers, like Action Society, and others. We will come and do the work that politicians are meant to do. I will try and recruit the best people to do the work so that we're not only educating you, challenging your minds, analyzing what's going on in the country, but we are making a real impact in real time. We are ensuring that there are more fathers in homes. Our government has failed. We will get fathers in homes. We will make sure there are more stable families out there. We will make sure that people are picking up litter in the community, that it's safe in your community, and there isn't crime because the private security companies are making money with their politician friends to make sure that there's crime there, that there are no drugs in your communities, that the schools are capacitated because your politicians are looting. We will make sure that we're not only bringing money to the school, we're also holding the governing body, the headmaster responsible, and we're holding the parents responsible. We're making sure that parents are forced to go and pick up their child's report from school and engage the teacher. We are saying that your child will not get marks if the parent doesn't come and speak to the teacher. And we force the kids, go fetch your mom and dad to come to school and be present. If it's a sports day, the only time you'll get your food pack, your feeding pack, is if you come with your mom and your dad. We see them. Oh, you're here. Thank you. Here's the feeding scheme. Here's your child's report. This is what we want to tell you about your child. Let's move. It was the hard work that Samuel L. Jackson's character was doing in Coach Carter, making sure that parents are involved in their child's upbringing. It can't be that it's only mom coming to school. Mama, upu baba. No, mama. So we're not going to release the report. We're going to need Ubaba to come here, or an affidavit, or he must contact us. Because we're trying to build strong families. Because we know if we build strong families, this child will get support. We want to send the report to you and to dad, no matter where he may be. We want the teacher to communicate with you and dad. Dad must know what's going on with their child. Your child is being problematic at school. I didn't know. The mom doesn't tell me. Now you know. Speak to your child. The government is not doing that. We will do that because we have platforms and we have influence and we can make a change. Have a great day. I love you guys very much. Cheers.